I grew up listening to my guest voice as I watched my morning cartoons. Rob Paulsen is a premier voiceover actor for every well-known animated television show. He is the voice of Pinky from Pinky and the Brain, Raphael and Donatello from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Carl Weezer from Jimmy Neutron, and as Yakko from Steven Spielberg's Animaniacs. Today, we'll talk about his book entitled Voice Lessons: How a Couple of Ninja Turtles, Pinky and an Animaniac Saved My Life, that chronicles his journey with throat cancer. Welcome to my show, Rob.
Well, hello, James. Nice to be here. And firstly, let me say to you and your audience, the fact that you said you grew up with me and not that you threw up with me, although that may have happened too. Not every performance kills it. Thank you. It is an absolute pleasure to be here, and I really am grateful that you gave me this opportunity.
Of course, yeah. When I first read about you, of course, I was like, oh my God, I know who that is. Of course, I may not know your name, but when I read everything, I was like, I literally, like I said, grew up watching and listening to you.
Thank you.
But I wanted to find out, like, how did you even get into this business? I mean, how did you know that you had this talent?
Well, I think like most of us who are in the entertainment business, I started performing, whatever that meant, simply because it made my soul happy. Mm-hmm. And then once you get a rise out of an uncle or a grandma, or, you know, the girl you have a crush on thinks you're funny, then the hook is set. And I was encouraged by my parents and my siblings. My parents were all amateur performers. They encouraged us to, you know, do high school theater and all that. But in my case, they created a monster. And I got to a place where, I mean, now I got in the thumbnail version of your journey and what your show is about. And I think I could probably safely say that you're doing this now because you can't not do it. Exactly. And that, my friend, is a huge gift. I learned quite early that whether or not I made a dime as a performer wasn't really the impetus to me becoming one. It was a chemical thing. It was like, I can't not try this. Mm-hmm. So, although I didn't expect to end up doing primarily voice work, I came to LA 43 years ago in my little Honda, drove out here from Flint, Michigan. And by the way,
really?
Folks,
I'm family from there, yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Detroit. I'm a total Motowner. But I went to high school just south of Flint. And folks, my mother literally stood on the front porch in her chenille bathrobe crying as I drive off to Hollywood, just like in the movies. And so my ostensible reason for coming here was to do live action and music. I was a singer who became an actor, and that's what I was doing. And in the mid-'80s, my agent said, you ever thought about doing animation? They knew that I could sing and character, I could read music, and I created characters all the time because Jonathan Winters and Lucille Ball and Red Skelton and the usual suspects, Johnny Carson, were all my heroes. Just because, again, it made my soul happy. I couldn't not do it. It's fun, didn't cost anything, and the takeaway was nothing but pure joy for me and often others. So that's a wonderful combination. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make any money, but it's something that just made me happy. So the opportunity arose, and it turns out, James, that I was living that axiom that luck is when opportunity meets preparation. I put myself in a position to get lucky by coming out here like everybody else who wants to be in the moving picture business. But I didn't realize that I was preparing myself for the opportunity that would arise in the guise of G.I. Joe and Transformers and stuff like that. So when I got booked on those shows, the first thing I noticed was that, man, nobody cares what you look like. And for an unknown talent, it is wonderful to not have to be limited by being just an average-looking Caucasian kid from Michigan.
The range,
Yeah. So that didn't take me long to think, man, this is the purest form of acting. This is literally like being a little kid. And I'm surrounded by actors whom I recognize from episodic television. They're old as my parents. And man, one's playing a monster, one's playing a bad guy, one's playing a benevolent king. This is the gig. And so it took me about 5 years to sort of eschew the on-camera stuff. And it's not that I mind doing it. I still get a chance to do them whenever. And then did a bunch of TV, Hell Street and MacGyver and St. Elsewhere and all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
But now, as a non-movie star 65-year-old, people still don't care what I look like. And as long as I can do, Carl, and look what happens to your handsome face, or when I start ripping as Pinky, people still like that, especially Mr. Spielberg, thank you very much. And of course, we know what happened with Yakko, so come on up to the water tower, James. So your reaction, my friend, is so precious. And look, I've been rich and I've been poor, and we both know that rich is better. But your reaction and what happens, hopefully, to many others who are watching this is precisely the reason this job is so fabulous. Yeah. Because it's not about money, ratings, action figures, age. It is a pure expression of joy. Yes. And man, I've had a career in the happy business, and boy, am I glad I'm glad I went down that road.
Yes. I want to talk about going back to the preparation piece. When did you realize that that's what was happening for you? Was it that you're actually preparing yourself for where you are today?
I think, when it really hit me, James, was I had already been on a couple of successful animated series. Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was pretty big deal.
Yeah, pretty well.
Yeah, and to this day, I could. The last time I talked to Kevin Eastman, one of the creators, I said, this is none of my business, but man, I've been around this turtle thing for a long time. How much dough has this thing created with action figures, jobs, different iterations, movies? He said, to date, $6 billion in merchandising.
Holy moly.
Right? From a couple of guys who are bong water drinkers up in Maine. And talk about the great American success story.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and so that was a show that changed my career trajectory, because once you're involved in a hit, even if you're not a movie star, people start to say, oh, okay, well, I've never heard of this kid. Oh, he's Raphael. Let's bring him in on our Disney show, whatever. Yeah. But the show that really put it in perspective, where I knew that music, my ability to improvise, sing in character, sing at a high level with a full orchestra and all of that, was with respect to Animaniacs. Because if Ninja Turtles changed my career a little bit, Animaniacs changed my life. And I was aware that it would. In fact, it's the only time that I've ever said to a producer, before or since, the following: if you don't hire me for this, you're making a mistake. And it was not hubris, maybe a little bit, but it was, and not arrogance, it was utter confidence that I had already worked with Tom Ruegger and Steven Spielberg and Gene McCurdy on another show called Tiny Toon Adventures.
Oh my God, Tiny Toon, yeah.
Yeah, that did really well, but this was a clean sheet of paper. Yeah, we're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony. But it was the same crew, including Mr. Spielberg, on Animaniacs, and it was a clean sheet of paper, brand new characters, all original music, and I thought, you know what? This is my pitch. This is the high heat right across the plate. It was a 6-week audition, but I was so cognizant of the fact that this was a life-changing opportunity that I had if I didn't get it, I had to be able to let myself believe that I could not have done anymore. If they gave me another 15 auditions, that I gave it every shot. And I was right. And not only did I get the job, but it really did change my life. I won an Emmy. I got to work with this incredible group for years. We're doing the show again with Mr. Spielberg.
30 years later or something?
Yes, 25 years later with Mr. Spielberg again, at his request again. And it's a hit again. That is so rare, James, it really to be able to capture lightning in a bottle twice with a generational gap. And now the audience for the show is exponentially larger than the first go-around, with the King of Hollywood again.
Yeah, that's
amazing. It's so unusual. Amazing. So if there's one time that I've been right, both with respect to the woman who was nice enough to marry me and my career, it was this, where I said, boy, you got to get this job. And it changed everything.
Wow. That moment when, you were so confident, because sometimes people are committed to something but yet they have that doubt. How did you silence that voice of doubt? Because I'm sure it was there, but how did you move your focal point to focus on the confidence that you know this is what you're supposed to do?
That is a fantastic question. And while we know it is different for everyone, I learned fairly early on, because again, I was fortunate to be bitten by the bug very early. So I learned that going up on a line or making a mistake or forgetting a lyric or whatever is not death. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's just a mistake. And you're able to recover from it. Let me put it this way. I learned to take a punch pretty early. Yeah. And so I was and am able now, when I get nervous, which I do before every live performance. We do Animaniacs in concert all over the country now with a live orchestra. It's just
cool,
spectacular.
I didn't know that.
But I love live performing. There's nothing like it, but you always get a few butterflies. But now I'm able to channel my energy, and I was able to do that years ago. By the time I got to Hollywood, I was 22 years old, but I'd already been on the road for 3 years doing live theater, live music. So relative to my age, I'd had quite a bit of experience. Yeah, sure. I'd already learned how to handle making a mistake, how to pick it up. I'm pretty good at improv. I can joke at my own expense. I know we all have lines that we know will work with an audience to get you back on track.
Sure. Yeah.
So I was able to take my energy and the nervous energy and sort of refocus it and say, okay, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I can't wait to show these people how good I am.
You reframed it.
Yes. Not that I'm better than everyone else.
Sure.
That I just want them. This is my shot. I've got 5 minutes with James, who is casting this fantastic movie. And there are a lot of actors in Hollywood who would kill for this 5 minutes with James. So this 5 minutes, I am going to remember what I did on other successful circumstances.
Love that.
I'm going to replay. Remember that last time you just killed it? You walked out of the thing, you just went like this, and you got home, and there was a message on your voice machine that said, hey, dude, you killed it. You didn't get the job, but you killed it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
And so I was able to do that at a pretty early age. A lot of people come out here and have not had any experience larger than their high school drama or college, which is fine. But it is a cloistered environment, and it's not professional showbiz. So I knew what it was like to perform for a bunch of drunks. I knew what it was like to go, lose my place with a huge audience and a theater production, and learned that it's, so what? It doesn't kill you. Wasn't it Nietzsche who said that which does not kill me makes me stronger? So that's what I did. I was able to, by the way, I also had the really great experience early on here in Hollywood of being a little bit seduced by the money. When I was able to get my first couple of jobs, I got paid more money than I ever made in my life doing anything, because I was, in the Screen Actors Guild working on a major production and making some money. And I learned my lesson very early that I started focusing on the outcome. I started focusing on, oh my God, if I get a couple more of these jobs at this kind of money, I'm going to get to buy a Porsche. Oh my God. Instead of focusing on what it was that literally got me out here driving for 2,000 miles, instead of focusing on the Jones of performance. And I'm telling you, it's the damn truth. When I started focusing on the money instead of focusing on the process, my auditions started to suffer. Yeah. I didn't get callbacks. Yeah. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Your motivation was different.
Yes. And I learned very clearly and that to refocus, and I still do it as an older person. I still say, now look, this is a great gig and you're making some nice dough, but let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's remember what got you here.
Yes, exactly.
Let's remember all of that. And I promise you, that has not changed. But I was able to learn that pretty early.
And I love how you hear in this story how you seem like you're very good at reframing from the situations of if you struggle with your line or struggle with an audition, et cetera, it doesn't kill you. And I think so many times we put power into an event or into something, and that becomes a label of who we are. So I'm a really bad auditioner, or I'm a really bad this, or I'm horrible at this. And that becomes our identity, as opposed to, it can be a one-off. When we have the power of something over an event, we can then use it, like you said, as information. All right, well, if I've struggled here, now I know moving forward, I need to be better at that. And so that's great preparation for the next thing you do, which I think is fantastic.
Yes, well, and you said two really important words: moving forward.
Yes.
Any forward movement when one is sort of stuck in their own mess is so key, James. It's not about snapping your fingers and go, oh God, I want to get out of this. I wish. Well, okay, but this isn't I Dream of Jeannie. This is real life.
Yes.
And any forward movement will start to pay dividends, no matter how small. The next day you wake up and you go, okay, great. I don't feel quite as ready to blow my brains out as I did yesterday. And I moved forward. I made a phone call. Yeah. That simple. I read about podcasting. Okay, all right. That simple. Any small movement, moving forward, not getting stuck.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite quotes is, "The last person in the race beats the person on the couch." And I think that's that's such a powerful quote, because it's true. You do one more thing and you're doing something greater than before. So it's not necessarily
how many times have we heard world-class athletes or anyone, a student, a surgeon, that they're working out, they worked out 16 days in a row, and the 17th day they're thinking, okay, I'm taking a break. When I'm taking a break, the guy that beat me last time is working out. I'm going to go work out. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that if you decide not to work out, you're a bad person. It just means that you're very aware that this is a commitment. And I believe that it can be segued or moved to any life experience. That irrespective of what, I'm an actor. We're a dime a dozen. But in the world, most people don't make their living doing essentially what got them in trouble in 7th grade. However, whether you're a psychotherapist in Florida who's ready for a change, or you're an actor who's getting buried in your own morass and trying to figure it out and feeling sorry for yourself, which is absolutely useless. There's
no energy.
No
external
energy. It
is
rather applicable to all our struggles. And and by the way, that's one of the reasons your whole ethos and what Lifeology is about is so important. It's a great name, a great brand, because that's exactly what we're all trying to figure out. I do believe that moving forward, and if I can get a little existential, I've had the incredible privilege with this wonderful job of being able to speak to many children and their parents around the world, because I'll get a phone call from a child life specialist at a hospital in England, and we have a little boy who's struggling with this, and he wants to talk to Raphael. And not just me, we all do it. But I'll tell you what, you want to talk about, and I know there are probably people watching this, talk about moving forward. How on earth do parents who have to bury their babies, and I've had parents keep in touch with me after they lose their children, and they're like, you'll never know what it meant to my little girl that Pinky called. But those people move forward. And if they don't, they often split up. They take their own lives. They find solace in an opioid or and I get it. I don't blame them, because it's impossible sadness
to fathom.
It's impossible. So it would be so disgustingly presumptuous of me to judge them. But I can't even tell you how many parents move forward. They don't forget their child, but they move forward and talk about a lesson in courage, a lesson in lifeology. It's an incredible experience to have had.
Unfortunately, our time is flown by. We have a couple more minutes. We didn't get a chance to talk about your... No, you're good. No, that's good. Well, I was going to say, I think we didn't get a chance to talk about your book, Voice Lessons, How a Couple of Ninja Turtles, Pinky, and Animaniacs Saved My Life. But what I can surmise from that, though, is you move forward from your throat cancer. And so just like you're talking about these amazing parents who've been through so much, it's the same thing with you. You move forward. So, I unfortunately don't have all the time to go through it, but with that moving forward and doing all that, what would you say the biggest lesson or takeaway for you was as you recovered from throat cancer?
I think that that phrase that our pal Ram Dass, who has moved on to that higher plane, but he wrote a book called Be Here Now. And it's essentially an acronym for, or not an acronym, but a phrase that's live in the moment. I didn't realize at the time when I was a younger actor, but what I was trying to tell myself to do, instead of worrying about the money, was to be here now. Focus on what happens now. And that's what I really learned, and I try to work much harder on, is living here right now. We make plans, as they say, we make plans and God laughs. I'm riffing through my life as a guy doing this for a living and all of that, and then I get not toe cancer, not hair cancer, throat cancer. But as a result of having these wonderful teachers, children and their parents over the years, and incredible world-class healthcare, not only was I able to survive the cancer, but I'm doing my job at the same level. That's why my particular cancer and my story is important. Your kindness in giving me this opportunity allows us to talk about something that could affect another person and say, oh my God, Dad, the cancer you've just been diagnosed with? James had this guy, Ron Pullman, I don't know what his name is. He does, you know how much we love watching Pinky and the Brain? Yeah. We just watched the new episode. That guy just had the same kind of cancer you have, Dad. Yeah. Listen to him. He sounds fine. You're going to be okay. That's why that's important.
Yes,
and
it is.
I'm learning to live right now. Even God can't change the past. And the future is dictated by what I do now.
Yes.
And if I get thrown a curveball, I'll deal with it. But right now, I'm talking to James. Yeah. And right now, this is important. And so that's really what I learned. And it is a huge lesson.
Very, very powerful. Rob Paulsen, thank you so much for being a wonderful guest on my show today. Like I said, we didn't get a chance to talk about your book one more time.
Voice Lessons, okay.
How a couple of Ninja Turtles, Pinky and Animaniacs saved my life. Where will they find all this information about you and even purchase this book?
Oh, great. Well, you can purchase the book on Amazon. I think I even have a copy of it here. This is what it looks like. How about that?
Love it.
I'm so much better looking pre-cancer. Oh, well, screw it. It is available on Amazon. I think it's probably at Barnes & Noble or Books A Million if you decide you want to go back in our post-COVID time. Yeah. And it is a multi-purpose book. If you don't like it, you can put it under a wonky coffee table and it'll straighten it out. But people can follow me on Twitter at Yakko Pinky, all one word. Yakko, Y-A-K-K-O, P-I-N-K-Y, Narf, on Twitter. Rob_Paulsen on Instagram, Paulsen, and Rob Paulsen, voice actor, on Facebook. And check out Animaniacslive.com because it will tell you when we're bringing our Animaniacs in concert with a big 50-foot screen, and we do United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, and all the cool music comes from the stage, and it's in sync with this giant screen, and it's amazing. It's very, very fun stuff. So, yeah, man, and Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain are both on Hulu right now. And they're doing really well, and I can't even tell you how much I appreciate your time. It's very kind of you to have me, James.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I love talking with you. We're going to talk in just a few minutes about some other things as well. So thank you so much for being a fantastic guest on my show today.
Thank you.